Listen, this woman doesn't seem very bright to me.
I agree.
Okay, you guys, oh my God, I know I'm super judgmental, but it just felt so fake, so fake. And all these TPUSA plugs was driving me up the wall. This is what Charlie would have wanted more than anything. And even if he had the chance to come back to Earth, to be with me, his wife, and to be with his children, he wouldn't.
Crazy.
As long as TPUSA can grow.
That's crazy.
And then they show the part where JD Vance comes out and they hug, but the part where she grabs his head, they cut that part out.
Now, before we get into today's video, let me say for those of you out there that hold the position that people are either bad, evil, disgusting, they have no empathy or sympathy simply because they're giving their honest take on the way in which Erika Kirk has been behaving since the whole Charlie Kirk incident has taken place. I have a question for you. My question for you is, what do you say to the dozens of professional body language experts and multiple actors and actresses that have all given their take on Erika Kirk, and they all seem to be on the same page? What do you say to those people? They don't have a dog in the fight. They don't have a bone to pick with Erika Kirk. So why is it that they're all saying the same things that many of us are saying? What do you say to those people? In today's video, we're going to be reacting to Nadia. Nadia For Real, I believe, is the name of her YouTube channel. I will drop the link to the original video in the description and in the comment section of this video. But Nadia is an actress, which means that she has went to acting school, which means she knows what to look for. And she's already covered her opinion on Erika Kirk. But in today's video, we're going to specifically react to the interview that Erika Kirk gave to Fox News. And Nadia is going to let us know what she thinks about Erika Kirk in this interview, and if Erika Kirk was being honest, if she found anything to be weird, or if everything seemed normal or not. Now, if you're wondering my opinion on Erika Kirk, I've dropped it multiple times. I've given my take multiple times on my main channel. I will also try to remember to link that in the description if you would like to check those videos out as well. Now, without further ado, please hit the like button on your way in, as I am trying to grow this channel as well. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi guys, so this is a very quick reaction video. I just finished watching the Jesse Waters interview with Erika Kirk, and I know that you guys were asking me about a reaction, and I just wanted to give it to you while it was still fresh in my mind, and it's not fancy, but here we go. So as predicted, most of the questions, at least for the first, I don't know, let me see, 20 minutes or so, are just softball questions about how they met or about their marriage or the kids and everything else. And again, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just cannot watch her with all these pats. The whole thing was like this, the whole thing. Maybe Erika, and I hate to sound like such a but, maybe just wear less makeup, and that way you don't have to worry about whatever's running down. If you know that you're gonna cry, because obviously you should, then why would you wear all that makeup? And I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna say, I can't get, what is up with all those rings? Like, what is up with all of those rings? I can't, it's very distracting.
That is one of the first criticisms I had of Erika Kirk, well before this interview, when she gave the casket interview, the casket video. Why would you record yourself walking into the room where your husband's supposed, deceased body is laying in a casket? Why would you have someone? Because that was a premeditated decision. You decided beforehand. Let's record me. Hey, start recording now. I'm about to walk in here and I'm going to lean over. That's odd. That's weird. And then they do a close up of her leaning over Charlie Kirk's casket, and you see these weird rings on her finger. Now people say, well, one is an M, one is a G, and it stands for the first letter in their children's names. Is it? Because I've already shared on my channel what I think those letters actually stand for, because to my knowledge, they have never revealed the names of their children. So apparently she also wore a bunch of rings in this interview as well. That's odd to me.
And to be quite honest, I went in there with very open to hear and just try to be as unbiased as possible, but she made it really hard. Okay, so the first couple of questions were just all softballs. What I did notice was that in the beginning, she kept saying things like, we have the same values, meaning her and Charlie. We have the same this, we have the same that. I think that means that she's been coached.
Well, and furthermore than that, I've heard some people say, I've had a lot of my subscribers from my main channel reach out and say, Didi, she was saying that they have the same values. Is it odd that she's referring to Charlie Kirk in the present tense? I understand why you all would think that, but to be fair, at the same time, she could be saying we have the same values because she's still alive and these are the values that she still currently holds. So even though I do understand where you all are coming from with that, I do understand why a person would use the present tense instead of the past tense.
Because she knows that he's gone. She knows that it would have been to say like, oh, Charlie and I always had. But the fact that she kept saying we have, I was like, somebody coached her. Somebody coached her, because this is what people who grieve do, right? They forget that that person is no longer there. And that is the feeling that I got from it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Anyways, moving on. So the question about their marriage. Okay, something she said, I forgot what time it was, but it was in the beginning. She said something about something that Charlie would do on the Sabbath, that he would put his phone away. On the Sabbath, okay, the Sabbath for Christians is Sunday, not Saturday. And I felt like that was just her trying to like push this narrative of like, and that he would say Shabbat Shalom and put it away. And I was like, what? He wasn't Jewish. And I just felt like that was like a call, you know, she was trying to give out like a dog whistle. Like, you see, he was still really all about Israel. So you guys, and I wasn't buying it, me myself. That was very confusing to me because of something that comes up later, and I'm gonna get to it. What's up with the rings? The dry eye pats, of course. She said, protect what you love. I think that's gonna come back to her. A lot of crying for the camera. I'm not saying that none of it was real. I think that there were some parts where I was like, yeah, that's real right there. Something's going on in her head, and she's really crying now. But most of the time it was just, to me, it felt performative. They said that her mom had a health issue, and that's why she wasn't with Charlie. I don't know, did she? Now, finally, at 8:25, we get to the Mikey call, and she said that Mikey called her within seconds. But Candace brought up a very interesting question today, which was, what did he do? Just call you and say, hey, Charlie got shot, get the security, and then hang up?
Right. That's a very good point. And I was curious to see what Erika Kirk was going to say about that as well, because Erika Kirk has already come out weeks ago and said that Mikey McCoy, who is the chief of staff, a very young chief of staff, Mikey McCoy, who is now 23 years old, supposedly called Erika, and supposedly she was the first person that he called. But since that point, Andrew Kovic and what's the guy's name from, he is Charlie Kirk's producer at the Charlie Kirk show. Blake Neff, I believe is his name. He's since come out and said that he heard himself, Mikey McCoy, calling his own father. But it's also come out that Mikey McCoy stated that he called his wife. So you called your wife, you called your dad, Rob McCoy, and you also called Erika Kirk in a time in which we can see you on camera the entire time, and it doesn't look like you called anybody. And what I mean by that is when Charlie Kirk was pow-powed, Mikey McCoy, I mean, in less than a second, it was 0.84 tenths of a second. He had already had the phone up to his ear and casually walked away. He didn't duck. He didn't seem scared. He didn't seem frantic. He didn't seem surprised. He didn't try to look for safety or to cover, nothing. He calmly walked away. He never looked back. And it even shows on camera, like I said, he's on camera the entire time. It even shows when Charlie Kirk is being carried to the Wagoneer SUV, you can see Mikey McCoy in the very back of the parking lot, still with the phone up to his ear. So when did he do all of this stuff? When did he call all of these people? Because if you're expecting us to believe he called 3 people in the matter of 60 seconds, that's unheard of. If you call someone with some tragic, disturbing, breaking news like that, and all of these people not only know him, but they're close to him. One of his pastors under Turning Point Faith, his actual wife, your wife, who knew Charlie. That's not going to be a 10, 15-second conversation. They're going to have questions. They're going to be frantic. They're going to lose it. You're going to want to console them. You're going to want to give them additional details. Somebody's lying here.
Like, if you're breaking that news to someone, that is massive traumatic news. Wouldn't you take the time to actually, like, Erika, are you okay? Where are you? Look, I'm sorry, Charlie got shot. I don't know what's going on. Where are the kids? Get security. You wouldn't just hang up on her in 2 seconds.
Right.
And I think to cover that, because I'm sure that there's been some talk about what's going on the internet, she said, I immediately went outside and fell out on the parking lot of the clinic where my mother was. So maybe that's gonna be the story, right? That's why Mikey hung up with her so quickly, because she let the phone go. I can see that this is where it's going, so just mark my words. I can't get over these rings. What does MG mean? What is up with all this jewelry? I don't get it. And then she talks about when she went to go see Charlie's body in the hospital, and she said that when she walked in there, he had a smirk on his face. A smirk on his face. Now, I would imagine that that meant that he died peacefully, right? He died in peace. And she did say that. She said, oh, that was a sign to me that he had died in peace. He died doing what he loves.
No. Is it impossible for people to pass away with a smirk on their face? No, I don't know if it's impossible. The likelihood that that's what happened to Charlie Kirk in that particular situation, I just don't believe that. The dude was struck. No, bro. That just don't make any sense to me. What? Like, is there some sort of narrative that they're going to push along with that, with this idea that he passed away with a smirk on his? I'm not buying it, bro. I'm just not buying it.
But then she plugs TPUSA. And I was like, girl, like, are you seriously going to do this? She said, it was as if he was saying, you thought you could stop what I built? What?
Bro, what?
What?
No. Charlie Kirk has said multiple times that his faith was most important to him, and then came his family. Whether you choose to believe that, whether you like Charlie Kirk or not, these are the things that Charlie Kirk said multiple times himself. Now we're led to believe that it was Turning Point USA and the fight that he was fighting for in this country in the name of Turning Point USA. That's what he had on his mind that had him to pass away with a smirk on his face. This sounds like propaganda. It just does. You can call me what you want, man. I'm just reacting to what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. This sounds like propaganda.
For him to die with a smile on his face, fine, yes, he was at peace. I agree with that. But I don't think he was thinking about TPUSA. And it's interesting that you would include that in there. And I'm wondering who told her that that would be a good idea, because I don't think it plays. I think that's a massive red flag. Like, why would she even mention, oh, you thought you could stop me? You took my body, but you can't stop my movement. Like, I don't think that that's what he would have been thinking. The fact that she said it, it just raises a red flag for me. I don't know. Moving on. Something she said at 8:33, she said, I don't believe in coincidences. That is going to come back to her. She's going to regret she ever said that. I guarantee you, mark my words, something's going to happen and it's going to be like, oh, it was a coincidence. And then these words are going to come back to haunt her. I don't believe in coincidences. Just keep that in mind.
Because there's a lot of, that's a very, very, very good point, actually, because there's a lot of coincidences when it comes to Erika Kirk, her story, her family's story, the things that all the people, who are rejecting, looking into it and pretending like they don't see it in the name of trying to be empathetic. But it's so many red flags, so many questions. Just answer the questions. If there's legitimate reasons or legitimate answers to these questions, then fine. But there's a lot of questions that have been unanswered. And there's a lot of convenient things about Erika Kirk. It just is. So I agree. This may come back to bite her in the butt.
He asked her, Jesse Water asked her, do you think that they caught your husband's killer? She went around in a circle and eventually just landed on, I trust our team. So no, yes, no, I trust our team. That's it.
How anybody that has objectively, I'm not talking about you have a bone to pick, you're super conservative and you supported Charlie Kirk down to a T and you have no criticisms, you have no objectivity. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the people, even those of us that have conservative values, and we're fair, we're consistent, and we're honest about what we're seeing and the red flags and all of the weird things that's happening. The odd behavior, we're acknowledging all of it. And what we're saying is, how with all the evidence that's out here, all the ballistic experts, all the professionals that have come out, ex-military, ex-CIA, all these people, and your takeaway is, I trust my team? Lady, have you not seen all the red flags with your team? That's crazy.
I insulated myself by getting, she said that she let her phone, she wasn't paying attention to anything. She had to insulate herself. But then I'm like, how did you insulate yourself? You were on TV and on the internet and doing podcasts within a week.
By your own choice. So when people are hopping in the comment section saying silly things like, please let the woman grieve in peace. What do you mean in peace? First and foremost, respectfully, I haven't seen much grieving. Maybe a little bit here and there, but I haven't seen a whole lot. But furthermore, what do you mean in peace, brother? She's placing herself in front of the camera. She's on stage with JD Vance. She's on stage with President Trump multiple times. She's filming herself in his office. She's filming herself outside his casket. She's giving Fox News interviews. What are we talking about here?
What do you mean you were insulating yourself? No, you weren't. What is that? And then she said at 8:34, she said there are a lot of fake images out there. Okay. Then he asks her, do you feel safe? This is pivotal because I was like, my God, this woman's husband gets assassinated and she just goes up and goes everywhere and she doesn't feel anything. That's telling. And she said, I do. Clearly, she said, I do feel safe. 8:36, she plugs TPUSA again. 8:39, we have an organization to run again with the plugging in of TPUSA. This is not the time to talk about that. I don't understand why she who told her that this was going to be a good idea? I have no clue. That person should get fired because this is not playing well. It just isn't. She shouldn't have talked about TPUSA at all unless Jesse Waters would have had the spine to ask her, Charlie was auditing TPUSA. Are you continuing that audit? He didn't ask her that. So she should have mentioned it.
And for those of you that don't know what that's about, there was an audit that was being placed out, a Doge-style audit, coming from Charlie Kirk because he started to suspect that there was some potential fraud happening within his organization. This happened September the 2nd, if I'm remembering correctly. So about a week before everything happened with Charlie Kirk. He sent out a memo to Turning Point USA employees stating that there was going to be a Doge-style audit so they can figure out where the money was going and so they can become a more efficient organization. But much more information has come out about people like Tyler Boyer and a lot of fraud and allegations that has nothing to do with the finances pertaining to people like Tyler Boyer and other employees as it pertains to SA.
Tyler Robinson. So they were saying that Tyler Robinson's trial is coming up in January and that the defense doesn't want cameras allowed in the courtroom. And so Jesse Waters asks her, how do you feel about that? And she said, there have been cameras all over me, all over her family, all over their friends who are grieving. So it's only fair that there are cameras in the courtroom. First of all, I believe there should be cameras in the courtroom, but it's not because Erika's been on camera. Erika put herself on camera. Erika has repeatedly put herself in front of the camera. And when she was actually with Charlie's body, as we all sadly had to see that intimate moment of her with Charlie together, she even had cameras and a mic, of all things, recording that very intimate moment between her and her husband, who was assassinated.
Weird. Allegedly. Weird.
And she had cameras and mics on that. So what do you mean that, of course, cameras have been on me. They should be in the courtroom. Yeah, they should be in the courtroom, but not because you put yourself in front of those cameras, lady. You chose to record all of that, which later on she says, well, I have nothing to hide. And I want everyone to see everything because I have nothing to hide. What?
Who says that?
What? Make up your mind. Is it that it's like people are infringing on your privacy, or that you want to show everything? Make up your mind. Okay, then she goes into talking about how Charlie's in heaven and Charlie's with Christ and Charlie's looking down and Charlie sees the big picture. And in her opinion, she says that if God gave Charlie the opportunity to come back to Earth, that even though she says that doesn't never happen, but if he had gotten that opportunity, that in her opinion, he would have said no. Because he would have seen, if this is what your death is going to be, if God had told him, this is what your death is going to be the catalyst for, Charlie would have chosen to stay in heaven.
That's a very, very odd thing to say, in my opinion. Let me tell you why. As a parent, remember, this person is a parent, right? Wouldn't you want to be here for your children? If you really have children with Erika Kirk, wouldn't you want to be here with your children? What do you mean? If he had the option to come back, he would say no, because his passing away was the catalyst for what has happened since. What has happened since, bro? A lot of cover up, a lot of red flags, a lot of people saying, stop looking into this, stop asking questions. You're conspiracy theorists, you're anti-Semites for simply asking questions. This is weird. So no, I don't think that's what he would have said. And sure, I'm not his wife, so she knows him better than we do, but that's just an odd thing to say to me.
And that to me was another plug for TPUSA, because now she's tying Charlie's death to, oh, if you really feel that that was a horrible thing, which we all do, whether or not I think we're Christians or just Americans across the board, pretty much, right? If you think that was a terrible thing to do, then prove it. Prove it by joining TPUSA. Prove it by working for TPUSA, because this is what Charlie would have wanted more than anything. And even if he had the chance to come back to Earth, to be with me, his wife, and to be with his children, he wouldn't.
Crazy.
As long as TPUSA can grow.
That's crazy.
You guys, oh my God, I know I'm super judgmental, but it just felt so fake. So fake. And all these TPUSA was driving me up the wall. Let me see what else.
And remember, everybody, this person is an actress. She's an actress, so she knows what to look for. And again, she's broken this down in other videos about Erika, the certain things that she looks for that they're taught in acting school. And she said that Erika Kirk was displaying many of those characteristics and a lot of those pointers that actors and actresses look for to determine if they're doing a good job or not. That's crazy.
Okay, Jesse Waters, like I said, he could have asked her a lot of questions about TPUSA, since that's what she wanted to talk about. And real questions like, what happened to the audits? Did you keep the audits there? How did you get to CEO status? Listen, this woman doesn't seem very bright to me.
I agree.
Okay, I don't understand how she got immediately and placed into CEO status. Like she wasn't even part of it. I mean, she was part of it in the fringe, right? But it was all Charlie. And she even said during the whole interview, like how Charlie was away so many days, so many hours, and sometimes he wasn't even home, and she was fully supportive, and she didn't feel threatened because he included her in a lot of the things that he did. But he included her. She wasn't part of it. So how is she suddenly the CEO? I just see optics, right? They're just using the optics because, of course, that's just going to make everyone like, oh, it's going to be this hero story. And so now, people are going to be more, it's gross. I think it's gross. Now, the end of the interview goes into when she has that whole thing with JD Vance and the TPUSA at Ole Miss and whatever. Funny, because they're talking backstage and he's, saying, oh, and Charlie, and she's saying, yeah, I know you feel him too. And he's like, yeah, I do. And God bless you. And then they show the part where she goes up on stage and she's talking to the crowd of kids, because they're all really super young. And then they show the part where JD Vance comes out and they hug, but the part where she grabs his head, they cut that part out, which was a smart move. And I'm sure that happened after the internet had so much to say about it.
What does that tell you if you choose to include that in the Fox News clip, but you edit that part out, which doesn't even show the full hug? It shows you that there's a good chance that hug was inappropriate. Because if it's nothing there, the internet's going to say what the internet's going to say anyways. If you truly felt like there was nothing there and there's nothing wrong with it, keep it. Run it as is. But it was inappropriate. That's why. That's why body language experts, for those of you who want to give me pushback, body language experts have come out and given their thoughts on that as well. And they've given a lot of thought. There's a lot of things, a lot of nonverbals that they pay attention to, that they're educating us on, that most people overlook. And everything that they were able to find supports the fact that there's something there. But my ultimate point is, I was curious to see what Erika Kirk was going to say, how she behaved. What I will say is that I give credit where it's not credit where it's due, but I'm going to be honest. Erika Kirk, for the first time since everything has happened, I will say she shed some tears that did look organic in this interview. That I will say. Now, some people have said that the tissue that she was using may have had something in it to encourage teardrops to come out of her eyes. I don't know, but what I will say is I've been pretty critical of her, so I'm going to be fair. I want to be fair across the board, and it does appear that she cried, and it did look a little bit more natural in this interview. But I got to be honest, the entire interview, I'm not saying that it looked organic or natural the entire time that she cried. It was a couple of times I said, okay, that looks real. But that's like 2 or 3 times out of the other 30, 40 times where things have just been off, But y'all up in the comment section, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Have you seen the interview? What do you think about the interview? Let me know your thoughts, man. Hit the like button on your way out. I appreciate you all. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.